one more to talk about. And
Mhm.
sometimes they say that it just means more.
It
And I think
does,
it's hard
man.
to argue about that with how those people take their football down south. Let's
It's
go ahead and talk about the Southeastern Conference.
SEC. I love
break,
the SEC. I do. I don't care. I absolutely love the SEC.
break it down for us.
Well, it does just mean more. I think the SEC this year, man, you talk about the Big 12 being right up there in terms of depth. Where the SEC has it beat, obviously, is in terms of its top end talent. But like for me on this list, where you go 1 through 6, any of these teams could win it. And like, I do want to preface, I have South Carolina 5, Alabama 6, but I do have Alabama at 10-2 and South Carolina at 9-3 because I do think South Carolina drops that last game to Clemson. So even though Alabama 6 and South Carolina's 5, I do think Bama like will be a higher ranked team by the time the college football playoff rolls around, and probably also above Florida. So even though this is the standings projection based on the numbers and whatnot, I think Bama will be a higher ranked team than South Carolina and Florida. But I digress. Georgia number one, and Georgia as the title winner because it's simply them until proven otherwise. Georgia has turned into the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're going to drop a game in the regular season that they shouldn't have dropped, and they're not going to look as crazy explosive as they once did, or they're not going to, make your eyeballs pop like they used to. And when the season is over, they are going to be in a championship game of some kind. Like last year was the year that if you were going to knock them off, that had to be the year, right? Like they got blitzed by Ole Miss. They should have lost to Georgia Tech. They were playing the number one ranked team in the country, Texas, in the championship game. And at halftime of that championship game, they lost their starting quarterback and they still won in overtime. Like they just find a way to make it work every single year. And even though Carson Beck is gone, Gunnar Stockton's a guy who's not new to the program and at least won them that championship game. For me, what stands out about Georgia is not necessarily what they lost, but one player in particular, man. I think Zachariah Branch is going to be the best thing to happen to this offense since Brock Bowers left. He's just such a dynamic playmaker because when you think of Georgia, you think of kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. They're going to run the ball, they're going to be hard-nosed physical, and then they're going to hit you over the middle. They haven't had a real deep threat since like George Pickens was there. I like Dylan quite a lot, but Zachariah Branch is going to be their Swiss Army knife. They're going to get to do so much cool stuff with him. And their schedule is tough, but Kirby's just the guy I trust more than anybody else in the SEC right now. So it's simply them until proven otherwise. I like Texas. I do. They would not be my number one ranked team in the preseason because there's a lot of unknown with Arch Manning. And I know you like Texas a lot. So again, I'll let you take the floor when the time comes. But for me, like I give the edge to LSU because I just know what they are. Like, yes, Brian Kelly is not everybody's cup of tea. In 6 months, we might be up here, talking about the same old things, banging the table. But like, they're so ridiculously talented. I don't see a world where they don't win 10 games. And in my mind, I feel like that's good enough to get them in the title game, especially because they get a team like Alabama at home. And Florida just doesn't move me the way that they move. I know I have them ranked highly, but like I think LSU should beat Florida and they also should beat Alabama. So I think LSU is in a position where their talent will put them over the top in terms of getting to the title game. But by the time the title game rolls around and then by the time the playoff rolls around, I think their coaching might be their undoing. And then obviously Alabama, Florida, even South Carolina, these are really talented teams and well-coached teams. But there's going to be so much cannibalism in the SEC. It's a matter of like who's able to just win that one extra game to get over the top. I just give the nod to LSU, but I got Georgia beating LSU for the title because it's them until it's not.
That's valid. All right. So I'm pushing my chips all in, right? And I'm saying both in the Big Ten and in the SEC that we're going to see something that really we have not seen proven and we've yet to see before. We've yet to see Penn State win the big game and dominate in the Big Ten, right? And now you have an addition of teams. It's the biggest league in college football with 18 teams. I'm thinking we're going to see the same thing in the SEC. I'm calling for Texas to win the SEC in the regular season, and I think it's LSU that's going to meet them in the SEC championship game. I have Texas going in there 8-0 in conference play. LSU also undefeated in conference play. I have Alabama third, South Carolina fourth, the Florida Gators at 5th, and I have Georgia all the way at 6. I have Georgia going
Sheesh.
9-3 in the regular season, and I have them going 5-3 in SEC play. Let me tell you about the game that really makes this whole recipe come together. Week 11, Bryant-Denny Stadium, LSU, Alabama.
First Sunday in
Essentially, at
November.
that point in the
Saturday,
season,
rather.
yes, essentially at that point in the season, winner goes to the SEC title game. If how I think things are going to play out end up playing out. And I have LSU going in there, big game Brian Kelly taking down Alabama, getting huge redemption from last season when Alabama went into Death Valley and ran it down their throats. Jalen Milroe had a field day and scored 4 touchdowns on the ground. I think LSU is going to come in a different kind of hungry because that was the make or break game for them last season. It was either we're going to stay in playoff contention or we're going to crumble. And they crumbled. Like they weren't even in that game. They blinked and were down 21-3. I think LSU has that in the back of their minds. I think Garrett Nussmeier came back for a reason. I think the LSU defense is going to be a bright spot. I think the receiving room, as always, is going to be one of the best in the country. I like LSU a lot. I like Texas to win the league, but I like LSU to go into Bryant-Denny Stadium, win that game, and punch their ticket to the SEC championship game. But again, one more look: South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M. That's a sleeper for me. Texas A&M, and I'd say Oklahoma, maybe Ole Miss. Texas A&M and Oklahoma. If things work out at Oklahoma with John Mateer and things materialize the way that some people are thinking things will, Brent Venables might have a crew this year. Like, what if they're off to like a 6-0 start? And then we start talking about Oklahoma, because if you look at their schedule, that's very possible.
Right.
And then Texas A&M, it's like they've been so close. Mike Elko, we've said, is the right coach. It's always going to be a good defense. Do they have the right piece at quarterback? And can the Aggies make some noise?
I mean, I think Oklahoma definitely has an easy first month and a half, 2 months-ish of the schedule. But then when you get into SEC play, it's just hard to find wins over the big dogs that they play. Texas A&M, I think, is very talented, but I also think they lost a lot of their best guys to the NFL. And I like Marcel Reed a lot as a quarterback. I love Mike Elko as a coach. But again, is it kind of hard to find the wins against the big dogs? Luckily, they get some of those big dogs at home, but it's kind of like I need to see it to believe it. I know Texas A&M was a whisker and a hair away from playing for the title last year, but they had a ton of breaks along the way to get to that position. So I think it's another kind of prove I need to see it to believe it type of situation. South Carolina, I think, is a team that's got a real shot to make some noise. I actually have South Carolina beating Alabama at home this year. So I agree with you that Alabama could lose some of these big games that knocks them out of contention for the league title. South Carolina, in my opinion, is one of those games because they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Lenora Sellers and maybe the best defensive player in the league in Dylan Stewart. So they've got dogs all over the place as well. Who knows if Nick Harbor finally turns his speed into actually being a good wide receiver in the SEC. That would be something to behold. It's a pretty deep in that top 8. Anybody could make it. And then the bottom is just like, it's not good. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, these teams. Auburn could be better this year with Jackson Arnold coming over from Oklahoma, but I don't really see it either. I just know that every week is going to be a heavyweight fight in the SEC. And
it's unreal. It's unreal.
I've kind of grown to stop hating the Southeastern Conference. Like when I grew up, I'm like, oh my God, they get the benefit of the doubt and all these things. And they do. Honestly, like by the time the season rolls around, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe 6 of the top 10 are in the SEC. But then I'm like, it probably makes sense. Like these are the best teams. It's turned into the NFL G League. So I can't wait to watch the SEC every week. I know last week I said I'd rather watch like Duke, Carolina over Georgia, Auburn, but I will have 2 screens going on Saturdays. That's for darn sure.
I'll tell you what, though, Jackson Arnold's going to have someone to throw the ball to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cam Coleman's a dog.
Cam Coleman's a beast.
He's
absolutely
insane.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even sleep on like Vanderbilt. Like they're not going to make any kind of playoff noise, but like Diego Pavi's back for one more year, and that
Yeah,
man thinks he can win the Super Bowl too. So
he does. Yeah,
you got
week 2 is keeping me up at night already.
you got to watch that SEC show on Netflix. It's
Dude,
unreal.
I've been meaning to get around to it. Honestly, I need to ingest a lot more football outside of like what I do from a got it covered perspective and from a writing perspective. When at night, when I'm just like scrolling through TikTok, I'm like, you know what, maybe I should just unwind and turn on a good old fashioned. Give me a Clark Lee, pregame hype up to get me going at night.
There you go.